welcome to another episode of Wisdom on the Front Porch, where your front porch could be out in pasture with field of horses, out in a field with a herd of horses. I'm going to start again. Welcome to Wisdom on the Front Porch, where your front porch can be anywhere, even in a field with a herd of horses. It can be in New York City, as the t-shirt shows. And here we're on Zoom, and this is really where we're going to have some great wisdom and knowledge with Elethia Gay. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to have this one-on-one time with you.
Yeah, this is great. I've been looking forward to it. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. All right. Well, I am Elethia Gay. I am an entrepreneur from Bronx, New York. I am a health and wellness coach and totally love it. Board certified wellness coach. And that's a story in and of itself, how I ended up pursuing that. And also, I am founder of an organization, a nonprofit called Hiking for Hope. And we get moms, dads on the brink of burnout and take them out for some nature therapy. And this year, we just started accommodating persons with cancer survivors, and the
Nice.
families impacted. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're going to have to hear the whole story. But before we hear the whole story, why do you do this?
oh, wow. You know what? When I think of, it's like I said, I was raised in the Bronx, and we grew up, pretty poor, right? And one thing I noticed was as a family, though, we just had this way of coming together. Like
Right.
we could get an argument, yeah, and that is typical of a lot of families, right? You get into an argument and then you're like, okay, so what you doing for Thanksgiving?
Yes,
So,
that's right. That's right. Arguments are
so
temporary. It doesn't, it's not
right,
permanent. Yeah.
exactly. We always had that love. And so I was with family. I was about I had to have been, it was in the mid 80s, probably 2 to 3 years after my grandmother had just passed from cancer.
Oh,
And we were supposed to go school shopping, and we're at my cousin's house. And you know how your parents drop you off, your uncle, your cousins, and you're
yeah.
playing. And we're supposed to go school shopping. And I'm like, goodness, where is my mother? And it reached a time where I knew the stores were closing. And I'm like, where's mom? So finally, my dad came to pick us up, and he said that she had been admitted to the hospital.
Oh,
So days later, we found out that my mother was diagnosed with cancer. She had two
wow.
malignant tumors that were the size of grapefruits.
Wow.
And,
And just
and
not too long after your grandmother had passed from it. Wow, that had to
exactly,
be scary.
as a kid, cancer to you, and this is what I talk about in the book, is cancer is like the death sentence because my only reference to it was losing my grandmother, having her pass on. So my mother went to the hospital, had, the surgery and had it removed, and then it came back twice. It came back twice in the ensuing years. But I'll tell you something. One day I happened to come home from college, and this was after her second bout with cancer. And my mother's like working out and doing her thing. And I'm like, Ma, like, what are you doing? I just hear her doing like Tony Little, and she's like, you can do it. And I'm like, Ma, well, what are you doing? She's like, well, that cancer diagnosis I had. She said, well, this is how I cure it. She said, I work out. She said, I
Nice.
pray. You see that Bible over there? I pray on that Bible. And between prayer and working out, this is how I stay well. And I can tell you, I remember that day. I remember the sun coming through the window. I remember what the living room looked like. I remember the couch was pushed off to the side. The table was out of the way. I can still hear his voice because that was such a poignant year of my life. And I think that changed the trajectory of me thinking that, oh God, I just have to go for business. There's more meaning to this life thing. And for the next few years, I just had to figure it out. Well,
Right.
it took me into my late 30s to figure it out.
That's okay. I'm going to stop you for just a minute. I'm still
Sure.
getting some glitching, so I'm going to switch my
Okay.
Wi-Fi over. and I
Okay.
don't want it to mess with anything. Um,
Okay.
it says it cannot connect. Why can't you connect?
And I can disconnect my Wi-Fi too. Maybe it's my phone. It could be the Wi-Fi here also, if that helps.
Well, let me try mine because it's kind of been weird all day.
Oh,
And I may have to put my phone near the window to do it.
okay.
No, there we go. Okay, we'll try this then. Um, okay, so wow, that had to be really life changing. I mean,
It really
you must have
was.
something like that going on.
It so was. I mean, as a kid, your parents are like your heroes. And,
Yeah.
they say for a parent, the most challenging thing, the hardest thing to do is to lose a child. But for a child, the hardest thing to do is to lose a parent.
Oh,
Really
definitely.
difficult.
Yeah.
And so, it was in my 30s and I was taking a cycling class. And a friend of mine had mentioned him wanting to get a cycling certification. So I'm like, I'm new to this whole gym spin thing. I didn't grow up in the gym. I just worked out at home. I don't know if that's, and he looked at, and so one day they opened up auditions or a training for it. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, this is your chance. Go for it." And he said, "Why not you?"
Interesting.
And I was like, I'm telling you, the butterflies were fluttering. I was like, what? But I pursued it, and here we are. It's 11 years later, and I'm a NASM certified personal trainer. I have over 13 certifications. I'm a board certified wellness coach, and I love it.
Oh,
I
that's
love it.
wonderful. Wonderful. Wow. That is amazing. That's a really big why right there. Yeah. So, do you help
Yes,
people
yes,
in
yes.
person only, or can you help people virtually? I mean, the world has changed so much, especially since COVID.
Right? Right. It really has. It's funny, since the pandemic, most of my clients have been virtual,
Really nice.
including my parents. I coach my parents.
That's awesome.
And
I love
yeah,
that.
most of my clients have been virtual. And it really, when you're trained in this, you're trained to ask certain questions, you notice certain movement patterns. And so through that, I'm able to really work and tune in to the people that I'm training. So
Right.
as long as you have that skill set, I mean, look, for a lot of people, nothing beats being in person and
Right.
having that hands-on. But for some people, it's just not an option,
Right.
or they don't feel comfortable at the gym, or they don't
Yeah.
want anyone
Yeah.
touching them. These are real concerns. And
Yeah.
so they come to me and they get a laugh, some love, and some wellness.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What are some of the challenges you ran across, challenges, because I'm sure there's been more than one that you've had
Mm,
to overcome, maybe even
mhm.
starting out? I mean, you said you had butterflies the first time you went in and went with your friend. What was that really like?
You know, it was a whole new world for me. It was, a lot of times, well, I haven't heard it often. Matter of fact, I may have just heard it as an adult, and it was like, in order to be it, you have to see it. And I didn't see it. I didn't see
Yeah.
anybody health and wellness. So I was like, I went to this training, and these people are like, sit. And I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I am not enough. Why am I even here? And there was this still voice in me that said, no, you belong here. I placed you here, and you are going to make a difference. And
Awesome.
till today, I'll be honest with you, I still hear that voice, because as an entrepreneur, you and I both know that there are times where you're like, where's the exit? And I have a full-time regular job. I
Oh,
have a full
wow. Oh, wow.
I there are times I'm looking at the exit like, do I still want to do this nonprofit? This is a lot of work. But I feel God saying, I am here. You can do it. You are up to it. And sometimes I get that message that you don't have to do this alone.
That's nice. Yeah, that's one thing, a lot of times entrepreneurs are all on their own when they're doing stuff. They don't have somebody
Yes,
there with them, but you're really not alone
right.
because there's so many other entrepreneurs out there who are going through some of the same struggles, some of the same victories, even though
Yes,
it may not be the same type of work, we're still running
yes,
a business. You still have certain things that are specific to a business. And one person can do one thing and then find 100 other people doing the same thing, but you're each going to reach different people. Around 9 billion
yes.
people are in the world, so there's enough to
Mm,
share, there's enough to go around. You know, I saw
absolutely.
something today that really kind of bothered me, and
Hmm.
it was on somebody's page that's talking about how many new entrepreneurs there are every day. And so they say it's a tough competition out there. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's not a competition. And looking
There
at
you
it as a
go.
competition is really fighting against yourself at that point because we should all be out
Right.
there helping each other. It's why I started the magazine
Yes,
system on the front porch, why I started the podcast, because we all have so
right.
much information to share with each other and to help each other grow. And that's what we should
Absolutely.
be doing, not looking at it as a competition. There's plenty of people to go around,
Absolutely.
plenty of money to go around, plenty of everything to go around.
Absolutely.
And if I'm 2 steps behind somebody else going up a mountain, they're going to help me get up those 2 steps.
Right.
If someone else is only 2 steps behind me, I can help them get through those 2 steps. So
Yes,
yeah, to say it's a competition,
absolutely.
for some people they need that drive to keep going, but I
Hmm.
love to compete. I'm a fierce competitor. I could
Hmm.
to a different person when I compete. But I never see entrepreneurship as competition because we all have these unique ways that we're coming at things.
Yes,
And it's what's inside here that makes that
yes,
uniqueness stand out. So you can have 100
yes,
different people doing the same thing, but it's being done 100 different ways.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I wholeheartedly agree with you. When I talk to people and I say I see it as a pie, and it's an infinite pie. And everyone can have a piece of it. There's a piece on there
Yeah.
for everyone. Some people want a bigger piece than others, fine. But there's enough for all of us.
Yeah.
And I compete, but I compete with myself.
That's it. That's the hardest competitor too. Me versus me.
Exactly. I compete with myself. But like that's one thing about Hiking for Hope, my nonprofit. What we do is we invite other instructors to be part of it, to teach a class, to lead a hike, to be on the page. And it's funny because I think so many people have that seed planted in their heads that it is a competition, which to me, when it comes to business, is sort of a limiting factor. it,
Right.
it can really limit you. But you can tell, so some of them really do that. They're like, I don't know if I want to lead, or I don't, or they may not get back to you, and it could be a busy schedule. But a lot of it is based in fear. They're
Right.
fearing that this is competition or there's limitation. There's no lack or limitations, but those that you built within yourself. So,
Right. Right.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And those limitations you is a lot to deal with sometimes. But
yes,
it's all
yes,
growth. It's all learning to go through it. Now you have a
absolutely.
nonprofit and that's your passion. I
Mhm.
can see it. I hear it when we talk. So why did you do a nonprofit instead of just going straight entrepreneurship?
Okay. Well, you know what I do? I have a for-profit that I started, which is
Okay.
Alexandra Q, and that's the coaching and the wellness business. And so from that, the nonprofit is a spinoff. I have another story
Nice.
for you, so bear
Okay,
with me.
good. We got lots of stories. Come on. This is good.
So my grandkids are gonna love me. So I had, I'm doing a wellness coaching and I'm training two clients one day in the studio. And so one of the clients, she looked at me, she said, Alethea, this is great, but sometimes I just want to go out. I want to be outdoors. She said, it allows me to decompress after work. I said,
Right.
well, what do you do? She said, well, I go for walks. So in my train of mind, I didn't hear walks. I heard hike. I heard 3 mile hike. So
Wow.
I said, I said, all right, so you know what? Let's go for a hike. And so we all looked at the calendar, chose a day. And from there, we just started scheduling hikes like every month, or whenever we can all make it out and meet up together. And what I began to notice within myself was the healing that was taking place in nature and how I was really a part of this ecosystem. And for me, that ecosystem had always consisted of other people. I didn't realize the trees, the grass, the bugs, allowing that bug to sting me, let him get his food, this little tiny bug, might be okay every once in a while. But I really felt like we needed to incorporate nature into our workouts, which in turn helps us heal.
Yes. Yes.
So it kept growing and growing. And then we had a flagship out here in Philadelphia after the pandemic.
Right.
And what we do is we hold these hikes and or like enriching events such as breath work and yoga or breath work by the water, or we'll go rock climb and we'll take a portion of the proceeds and donate it back into a cancer-driven nonprofit, a woman-driven nonprofit, because like I said, we are an ecosystem and we all have to feed each other.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I've noticed the
Hmm.
entrepreneurs who seem to be the happiest, the um, productive, and I'm not saying this for every entrepreneur, but the ones I've observed are the ones who teach you
Absolutely.
to give back. And it's like,
Right.
you don't think about that as being part of a business, part of growing. And it's like, well, how can you give back? Everybody can give back different ways. Me, I have the giving book that I give back every year, never charge for it. Um, Anybody
Wow.
can be a part of it. They can enter their
Wow.
artwork, they can enter
Mhm.
photography, poems,
Wow.
memoirs, short stories. And a lot of times
Hmm.
you have a story that you want to tell, but it's not enough for a full book. So this is a good way to do it. And then the sales from Amazon and my own personal sales all go to a nonprofit. And I actually got the idea from
I
another
love that.
entrepreneur who's an author and does this with her book. Hers is a paid one. That's okay. It's fine. But this is the one time that I give
Right.
back. And we're in the process of kind of closing out and getting submissions for it. But it's been great. I try to make
I can
everything about this
imagine.
book giving. And I'm so excited for it. But
Wow.
this book just gives a lot of peace to people. It gives people a place for
Yeah.
their voice to be heard. And
Hmm.
it's just amazing because for a lot of them, it's the first time they have ever been published. And I don't know if we'll do it this time.
Hmm.
It depends on those who submitted articles for it and the other stuff, if they want to try for number one or not. But the first book we didn't try because that wasn't ever intended. It wasn't about a big name or anything like that. It was just giving people a place for
Hmm.
their voice to be heard. And the second one, some of the authors said, yeah, I want to see if we can go to number one. And there were
Wow.
seven of them out of 22. There were seven who said they wanted to do it. And I says, if you do this, then everybody gets it. It doesn't just go to you. And they go, we don't mind, we'll
Oh,
get for everybody else.
wow.
So the seven of them went together and we found I have someone who can help you get your book to number one on Amazon. They know what's required. And this was before Amazon changed everything. So I'll have to see if we can still do that.
Okay.
But the
Right.
third volume, since I had learned enough and I had been taking some courses, we got that one to number one. And it's just been
Hmm.
wonderful because that was
Wow.
something that I could give to them, that they could give to all the
Hmm.
others, and that they gave to themselves. And it's okay to give yourself
Right.
something like that. I mean, it's wonderful. These are now number one
Absolutely.
best-selling international authors because I have
Right.
authors from all over the world. And it's
Wow.
great to hear them come back and say, are you going to do another one? I've got another story.
Right.
It's like, yes. But yes, I went
They
from
got
16
they got it.
to 35 co-authors on it. So that was really exciting.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
that's beautiful. And you help them bring out their gift and their story.
Oh yeah. And there's some amazing stories, and I don't know how it happens, but it's like they met somewhere and decided what the theme of the book was going to be. They really didn't, but the stories just mesh so well together.
Wow.
It's really wonderful how it happens.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. That's
Yeah,
a beautiful
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Beautiful thing. Bless you for doing that, you know?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So, the more
Yeah,
we can give back, the better it is because it's so easy to just take all the time. And I love what
absolutely.
you're doing that, you're giving and you're giving to great causes.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful
Hmm.
when we can all share in things like this.
Absolutely. It feels good. It feeds me.
Yes. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feeds me. It really does feed my soul. And it shows that this young seedling from the Bronx, that she really did have something to offer,
Oh, yeah.
in spite of what she saw growing up and in spite of what she was told. And a lot of us don't have that gift early on in life. Like
Right.
I don't. And I always go back and I talk to her and I let her know, you got it. You got what it takes, and it's gonna be all right. So for you to extend that offer to people and give them the opportunity to lend their voices to a greater cause, not just lend their voices to a book, but to a greater cause, is
Yeah.
just so amazing and selfless to me.
Yeah. It's just, and I enjoy it. I mean, this really, and I'm sure you probably feel it too. It just kind of like
Hmm.
lights you up to be able to do something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You see everything else going on in the world, and to know that you're contributing that peaceful part, that love part.
Yeah.
Ah, it feels amazing. It does.
Yeah.
You're so right. You're so right.
Yeah.
You're so right.
So what are some
Yes.
things that are coming up for you?
So you and I are both part of Born to Risk. So
Yep.
this is a
Oh, yeah.
big one. And I decided to really step out and promote that along with some other materials early next year.
Good.
Uh, Hiking for Hope, we've developed three nature therapy programs that we're going to introduce next year. So I'm super excited for that. One of them will be in Colorado because I keep promising my friend Bernie, I'm like, I'm coming to Colorado. I'm not just saying it. We are really going to make it there. So I'm
Nice.
excited about that. And just growth, growth. I'm so grateful. Every morning I wake up, I take a breath and I'm like, all right, God, well, you have something for me because you woke me up this morning. And the times that I don't, at least I know I've left a legacy for everyone else. But the
Yes.
immediate things that are coming up is that Hiking for Hope, these nature therapy programs in 2025, we're going to drop some healing on some people. And
Awesome. I love it.
yeah, and get these books out, like stories like yours and mine. And you want to talk about
Oh,
healing mind, body, and
yeah. And
soul. I mean, we learn from each other.
yeah, that was an interesting book because it really
No, go
went
ahead.
through some growth changes too. It started out, everything was going well, and then things just
Absolutely.
kind of one after another just started happening like it was never going to get out. And
Yeah.
sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're working on your business and it just seems like everything's falling apart. And then you start questioning, you start doubting.
Ah,
And you can't do that. Don't doubt.
absolutely.
Yes, you do step back and you say, okay, maybe I'm doing something I'm not supposed to. But a lot of times it's because
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it the energy in the world, you want to call it every time you're trying to do something good, there's always the bad, the yin, the yang coming through or whatever. And it's trying to stop you from doing it.
Mhm.
So remember, it's not always, it's going to sound weird. It's not
Mhm.
always about you, but maybe there's other factors going on trying to stop
Yeah.
you from getting your voice out. But, the book finally started
Mm.
to come together. And when they put in different, um, I don't know what the word would be. I want to say implements, but that doesn't sound right. They just had different
Hmm.
strategies, and they got a few different people that was going on, and it was just like boom, 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 and all of a sudden the book is out, and it's like, whoa, that went really fast, actually.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it was good.
Yeah.
It was so
Yes.
fun to be a part of this book.
Yes. Yes. I would agree. It was really fun writing it, mainly because of Emilio and Daniela. They are
Yes.
just light. I love them.
Yeah,
Oh, they're
yeah.
such light. They are
And
such beautiful light.
actually, I'm going to do a podcast on couples that are running a business together. So I think
Okay.
I have four of them that we're going to talk about, and we'll feature them in the magazine, Wisdom on the Front Porch. The first
I
one
love
because of
that.
Valentine's Day. But yeah,
Yes.
it's tough enough running a business on your own, but then trying to run it with your spouse, I could just see all kinds
Yes.
of things going on. But those two, they make it happen. Um,
Yes.
Jesse
I
and
agree.
Desiree make it happen, and some of the
Hmm.
others that we're interviewing, and it's interesting to see what they go through and how they handle
Hmm.
each situation because you have two very different personalities there, and yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
when it's you, everything's on your shoulders and you bear it. But can you imagine
Right.
working with somebody that maybe you're not compatible with? And I'm not saying them
Hmm.
are that way. I'm just saying,
Right.
sometimes you start a business and you realize we're really great friends, but we're not very good business partners, and so
Yes.
you have to
Yes.
go through things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Yep.
So how do you balance or bring into harmony? Because I really don't, like the word balance. I know you have to balance some
Hmm.
things out, but how do you work in harmony? I mean, you said you have another job too, plus what you're
Yes.
doing and the nonprofit and family and all of that. What are some
So I
tips
love
you could give
corporate.
us?
I love corporate. It's so funny because I was running from corporate for a long amount of time. And what I realized was what I was running from was with me the whole time. And it's me. It's my perception of things. And don't get
Oh,
it twisted. There are some corporations that are just brutal, but I
right.
like the structure and the innovation that comes from being in a lot of those structures. And I felt like I was kind of going too down the woo-woo type when, when I was running my own business, and it felt lonely. I'm gonna be honest, it really, even though it's health and wellness
Yeah.
and I was working with people, it felt lonely, and I miss
Yes.
a lot of that. And so it was about 2020, and I said, I put it out there. I said, Lord, what's for me is for me, and the amount of time is for me is for me. And I started working with Family Black and Decker, and still creating. I design training programs for engineers, and I
Nice.
absolutely love it. And I design training programs for my clients.
There you
So
go.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun. I think for me, the way that I find the ability to stay focused and on the ultimate goal or the goals that I set each and every day
Right.
is one, I do invite structure in my life. A lot of
Okay.
us resist it, especially when we're instructors and we're studying yoga and meditation. We're like, I'm just going to let it flow, right? But
Yeah.
I had to surrender to the organizer in me. I had to surrender to her and say, you like this structure, you like this to be on your calendar, and be okay with that without punishing her or speaking badly to her for the things that she does miss.
Right.
So I think I find it by doing what comes natural to me, what feels good in my body, and then also having boundaries.
Yes.
Enough is enough. And I am a person. If you prick me, I will bleed. Okay. So I'm a mom. I love being a mom. So I don't make myself so engulfed in busyness that I don't have time to be a mom. I'm a
Right.
momager. My daughter's an actress. So, when she has um, auditions or a role comes up, being able to help her manage that, speak to her, work with her through that, I think is important. So I think to answer your question, to boil it all down, is one, I'm doing what I love and what I feel is right for me.
Good.
And then along the way, having those boundaries set up, even setting boundaries for myself, like Alethea, no, we are not going to do that today because that is not taking you where you want to go. That does not feel good in your body.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah. A lot of people don't think about setting boundaries for themselves because, oh, I have to do this and I
Oh,
have to
yeah.
do that. I finally had to do that for myself is say, no, this is where
Yeah.
you need to take this time so you can keep going and doing what you're doing. You
Mm-hmm.
need to do your self-care, which is sometimes just not doing anything, which is kind of hard to not do
Yes.
because the
Oh, you
mind
nailed
doesn't want to
it.
shut off.
Yes. That I love that you said that. Like sometimes it is doing nothing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just doing nothing. I love that. I love that. And you know what? I sometimes, people can perceive boundary as a negative word or it's like heavily masculine. It's like a heavy word, very strong word. But I also something you just said, the self-love.
Yeah.
Like it's also a way of showing yourself that some love.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. So you
yeah,
can think of a
yeah.
boundary as a border of flowers. And if you wanted to, you can
Mm.
cross over it so easy, you can step over it,
Oh,
but they're there and it reminds you to stop, enjoy
I
what's
love
around
that.
you, do I just lost the word again. I don't know why I'm having a
Mm-hmm.
hard time with it this week. Um, it's measure
Mm-hmm.
your victories, measure what you're doing. I hadn't been doing that myself. And once I
Mm-hmm.
started measuring what I really had done, it was like, whoa, no wonder I'm worn out. All right, let's back off a little bit. Yeah. And it's
Isn't that
like, okay.
something?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then again, I
Wow.
thought, no, I can't back off. I have to keep all of this there. But once I did back off, I found out that the quality of everything just leveled up. It just
Yes.
automatically there it went. And it was
Yes.
like, oh, I get it now. I
Yes.
get it. Too bad it took me so long to get it, but I get it.
You got it when you got it. That's it
That's
right
right.
there. I love that. I love that. Sometimes we become so obsessed with these to-do lists or these
Yes.
gotta do lists, these task lists, that we don't measure what we've already accomplished and not only show that we're grateful for that, but really pat ourselves on the back and be like, well, job well done, Alethea. Job well done,
Yeah.
Liz. Great job. You
Yeah.
did you did that. You showed
Yeah.
up. So I
I
love that.
I remember
Love
when jazzercise was real big, and I used to
that.
get into
Hmm.
that. And at the end of everything, with the stretches, we reach back, and as you're reaching back, they
Hmm.
go, pat yourself on the back. That was good today. And when you go
That's
this way,
right.
pat yourself on the back again because you did well today. And it's like, well, that's cool. I can do that.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's a fun reminder of how important it is. I love that.
it is kind of giving yourself a hug, stretching
Yes.
at the same time.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. Oh,
life
wow.
is so fun. Life is so fun.
It really is. It really is. And this is what we're here for. Like
Yeah,
this is what we are here for. All the Peter Panning and all that stuff. We are really
yeah,
here for that. It's so funny because at one point I thought it was ideal to work towards peace. And I thought peace meant out somewhere on an island and you worked hard for that. And then that was like the big prize, the big win. And it wasn't until I reached probably my late 30s, early 40s that I found that the peace had to reside within.
yes, yeah.
It
Oh,
had
yeah,
to reside within. Therein lies the place.
yeah,
But it took Liz, you know how long it took me to figure out what, where it was and how to find it and what the ultimate goal was. I'm sitting here like, what is that book? Oh, you're going to know it if I start to explain it. He travels around the world trying to find truth. Oh, it's not everyone. Everyone. is told to read it at some particular point. It'll come to me after this
Yeah.
call.
Oh, yeah, I'm
I
just
can't
drawing a blank.
remember.
If I could see the cover, I would know. And
It,
I
it
am drawing a blank.
it's a brown, like a brownish burgundy cover, and I know it's gonna come to me, but pretty much that's what I had to realize, that
Yeah.
everything that I was working towards and searching towards, I had to find it within. Love.
Yeah.
Some of us find ourselves, I'm a single mom. I divorced back in 2013. And some of us are like, I got to get in my next relationship. How am I going to, I have to find love. I have to find love. And I have to tell you, that was like my biggest growth period. Like it was like a growth spurt for me because I'm
Nice.
looking for something that I had to identify within myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You've got it. And it sounds weird. Well, it did sound weird to me that you have to love yourself.
Yes.
And the reason for that is if you can't talk to that person in the mirror and say, I love you, then you have some things to work through. There's something there,
Absolutely.
and you can't give your best to yourself or anyone else if you have that friction there. You need to be happy in your own skin, they used to
Exactly.
say. And it makes a huge
Yes.
difference, you know?
It really
Yeah.
does. Yes.
When I was a
Yes.
kid, I loved me. I could look in the mirror and talk to myself. Back when my
Aw.
family used to sneak in and start laughing at me because I'd be singing songs or whatever, you know.
I
And
love
it was no big deal, but I was happy. I mean, no matter what was going on, whether it was something
that.
should make you sad or whatever, I found a way to look at the world differently because I knew it was temporary. And yeah, when there were times to
Mm,
be sad, you're sad. I mean, there's a season and
yes.
time for everything, but
Mm-hmm.
I chose to be happy most of the time. And then I got into
Mm,
um, around people that I shouldn't have been around, and I knew I shouldn't have been around. And
mm-hmm.
I started losing that. And one
Mm,
day, you know, not too long ago, it was actually about a year and a half ago,
mm,
I was in a 5-day challenge. And on the challenge, you're supposed to look in your mirror and say nice things to you. And I thought, that's not a challenge. That's easy to do. I can do that. I went to the mirror and I think it took me over 6 weeks before I could say something
mm.
nice to me. And I thought,
Oh,
whoa, where did that come from? And I mean, I had to work on it. And it's
oh,
like,
wow.
I didn't realize that that was like that. And it's like, that's not good. That's not good.
Mm,
So what's
wow.
been going on this whole time? Now I can go
Wow.
talk to a person in the mirror and say,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing great. In fact, I have
You're
sticky
awesome.
on there, things that I say to myself every day when I wake up in the
Yes.
morning. And it's, and then we say, I am the greatest. Because
Yes.
you need to do that. I love that. Uh,
Amen.
I mean, you've got to be
Amen.
your own best
Wow.
cheerleader. And if you can't
Yes.
talk to yourself, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to cheer yourself on? How are you going to get through the really
Absolutely.
tough times? For me,
Yes.
I'm a person of faith, so I have my God I rely on. But
Yes.
you still have to deal with what's going on inside your head and in your heart.
Oof.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, there's just a lot of times you've got to realize, maybe you've had, what do they call it, stinking thinking. You've had a lot of stinking thinking going on.
Yes.
You need to
Oof.
just knock that out to the curb and let it get drowned in the ocean.
Exactly.
You don't want to release it in the
Exactly.
world because you don't want nobody else to have that.
Right. Absolutely. I love the fact that you said that. And also you acknowledge the fact that you were just in certain environments that really didn't feed into that level of confidence that you once had, and
Oh
sort of
yeah.
led to some type of attrition. Because I feel like, when I look at kids and they don't have a care in the world, and they're so daring, and you're like, don't jump off that couch. You're like, right, and then there gets to the point where life experience, one, discernment, of course, yeah, don't jump off the couch head first and just land on the
Yeah.
floor. But there's also that part that through life experience that where people have said, well, you don't look good, or you're not pretty, or
Yeah.
you're not smart, or just comments like that that may have been, maybe jokes or maybe meanly,
Yeah.
shared with you, someone being mean-spirited, and how oftentimes those seeds are planted, and that kid who was once so bountiful and so alive and so confident, they turn into this adult who seems so unsure of themselves. And like you said, I really had to do a lot of work. And for me, it's going to be a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I welcome it. I'm here for it. That's what we're here for.
That's right. Yeah, you got to be willing to receive it. They
Yeah.
talk about mindset, and I said somebody today even, it's like your mind may be set, but it's not set in stone. You have the ability
Yes.
to set it where
Yes.
you want it to be. And it's like that's really good because we're not stuck
Yes.
being who we are. The one that says, "Oh, this is just who I am. I'm never going to change." Well, not if you keep thinking you're never going to change, but if you want to, you
Exactly.
can. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Like
Yes.
me saying, I'm saying it too many times. I keep catching myself at it. It's like I have to stop that. But it's a process. And it
It is.
may be that you've said, I'm tired of this. And you do make that change. And it's a little bit of a
Yes.
struggle for a while, but you do make it. You know,
Yes.
if you're growing a plant, you put a seed in the ground, you can water and water and water it, and eventually you're going to give so much water it's going to drown. It's never going to grow. So you have to take
Mm-hmm.
the time to water it and then let nature grow that tree, let nature grow that plant, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
harvest from it when it's ready, when it's time. And maybe its job is just to be there to
Absolutely.
shade you or look beautiful.
I love that. Oh, I love that analogy. I really do like that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
I'm a
I
nature girl.
agree with you. I love it. Then we have to like look at the calendar because
There you
I'm
go.
like in Texas, okay?
All righty. It sounds good to me. Oh, goodness. I see we've gone way over our time. It's just so great
Yes,
talking with you. I really
you
appreciate it.
too.
So tell people how they
My
can find
pleasure.
you.
Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram at I am hiking for hope, as well as my name, Elethia Gay, Elethia. We have a website for Hiking for Hope, hiking the number four hope.org. So not FOR, we're not even FOUR, it's just the number four,
There you go.
hope.org, and then ElethiaGay.com. And we also have these t-shirts, excuse me, go off camera just for a second, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is a
Oh,
sweatshirt.
nice. I like the way
hmm
hope is spelled out. Yeah. Oh, look
Isn't
at
that
that.
beautiful?
That's great.
And then a workout shirt. And we have some long sleeve organic cotton tees that we really would like to be able to sell and raise money for one of the organizations that we're working with, and it's called Inspiring Life Together. So visit my page, message me, let's chat. I offer free consultations, and I would just love to help and feed into as many people as possible.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here on Wisdom on the Front Porch.
Thank you.
And thank you, our audience. We really appreciate you and we hope you've gained so much value out of this. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Yes. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.